A fundamental change is taking place in the markets that has signaled doom for the dollar. I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for the greenback, but I think this is a signal of what is to come at the very least. This week, the Dow, long-term treasuries, and the dollar all went down at the same time. Let me explain why that is significant. For the past several months, the Dow and the dollar moved inversely. When stocks sold off last fall, the dollar moved up, and experts assumed this was due to the perception that the dollar is a safe haven. When stocks went up in the beginning of March, the dollar fell, and people thought this was simply due to investors' growing appetite for risk. But this past week, we saw the rally in stocks start to fade, but the sell-off in the dollar actually accelerated. Investors basically said, we don't want U.S. companies, we don't want U.S. debt, and we don't want U.S. currency. On Thursday, stocks, treasuries, and the dollar were all down significantly after S&P downgraded their credit rating outlook for Great Britain to negative. Investors feared it could happen to the U.S. In reality, it doesn't matter what the credit rating agencies say, their credibility was shattered over the past year. But this announcement did bring the U.S.'s creditworthiness to the forefront, and investors were genuinely scared. And why shouldn't they be? The U.S. has followed the lead of Great Britain in quantitative easing. This means the government is buying its own treasuries, which means printing money out of thin air and moving it from one pocket to the other. Both of these countries are out of money, and obviously central banks around the world and investors are losing their appetite for these countries' sovereign debt. Both countries have basically decided they're going to print their way out of their obligations. Timothy Geithner was quick to point out that the U.S. will not lose its AAA credit rating, but like I said, it doesn't really matter what these credit rating agencies say. He has also said it's important that we have a strong dollar. Well, I would pay attention to what these guys do and not what they say. Ben Bernanke once said he would drop money from helicopters to fight deflation, and that I do believe because he's pretty much doing it right now. I expect other countries around the world to devalue their currencies in response to the drop in the dollar. They don't want their exports costing too much. Basically, there's a race to the bottom for paper currencies everywhere. There's a definite buy signal for gold and silver. It's no coincidence they were up 3 and 5% for the week. I would buy some now if you haven't already done so.